numbers. Hello, everyone. Hello, Davo.
Hello, Russell.
We're back Sunday evening, as always, here on Robbo Live. It's a big show. It's a big show. The one and only Todd Viney. Now, I've got Davo on again. Davo sat with me last week, which was wonderful. We got some interaction, some chat, and it's always good to get a different view of our Melbourne Football Club. And Davo certainly offers that because he's a West Coast Eagle.
He's a West. Well, I'm from Perth, so I didn't have a lot of choice.
You can tell he's from Perth straight away the way he speaks, can't
you? Yeah, exactly.
What
hey,
is
Nicky,
it?
Hey, Gary. Hey, what's the deal with this? Just out of interest?
It's empty.
Yeah.
So if you watched the show last week, Gary did, Nicky did. Nicky was late last week. She's on time. Hello. Yvonne. Hello. And Ruth. If you watched the show last week, like those guys, you'd know that I love a whiskey. And the Russell's Reserve is my favourite. And it's very, again, ostentatious by me, isn't it? Is that the word I should use? It's very, just everything about me. I saw it.
It's the best time to do this. Talk about yourself.
It's my show.
At least you dressed up this week.
Oh, thank you. Suggesting that I don't.
I mean, everyone agreed with me last week.
You're asking the wrong people, because if you ask them if I ever look bad, they will tell you no.
You didn't care because you wore that jacket again about 3 days later.
They're great people. Yes, the green jacket. You didn't like it. I did wear it.
No one on there liked it either. That was my point. And then you still wore it. And I was like, oh, good on you. You don't care.
Hey, Kim. Hey, how you going? Jenny's here. Mickey, I saw your photos on Facebook. She visited the Cup today. I believe, Nicky, is it at the MCG at the moment? Is it at the museum? Is that where people are getting the photo? I'm not sure. I had a quick look. I've had a busy day. And it's so wonderful to see all these supporters with their families holding the real cup. Like it's not a fake thing. It's not like the replica, because every club got a replica cup.
Yeah,
and they have it on. Of course, you don't want to put everything. They're worth so much money. You don't want them out on display. They get stolen. It's trouble. So, but this is the real deal. Volume's a bit strange. What is it? Not loud enough?
Yeah, let us know. Is it? How's it sound? Tell us, because this is why we do this. This is like the audio check, the pre-show.
Yeah.
So you're allowed to have me on for the pre-show.
Yeah.
You saw the cup before everyone else saw it at the sports museum. Are you going to tell people about that or not?
I did.
There's an echo.
Okay. It's echoing. We'll see if we can fix this on the fly. And while you're doing that, I'll talk about that. I was lucky enough, Melbourne supporters that are watching, to be invited to an event with all the, not all the, but a couple of players and a lot of people that have been in some pretty special groups. And I'm talking dropped a lot of money on the Melbourne Football Club. You know what I'm talking about. And I'm sure you've been asked before, but our members who have always put in money should have the same opportunity. But we got the opportunity to sit and hear from some of our players. And it was wonderful. And I can't wait. Is it still echoing? Go on, Ruth.
You know what it was? It was a Neve plug-in. I've been mucking around with like vintage Neve plug-ins.
Stop mucking around with your Neve plug-in.
Yeah.
It's disgusting.
So you got to see the real, because you saw the cup, right?
Melinda's all over it.
What is it?
43. I'm turning 43 on Wednesday. What did you get me?
an empty bottle of Russell's gin. No, whiskey, whatever this is. I got you that last year.
You did.
I got you a whiskey for your... I knew. I didn't
Which was
really know you.
You didn't really know me. You got me a gift. That's why I'm expecting big things.
Sorry for you that day. You had a hard time with you. You had a hard time with your birthday. Are you sure you're turning 43?
It's only 43. Thank you.
I had it last week.
No, I had a shave this week. So got rid of the grey hairs. Spike Harris with the cup today, Gary. Good. Jenny Love, thank you for the birthday wishes. Hi, Barry. I love to just shout out the people that are jumping on. Hi, Janice. She loves it. Spike's a great man of the Melbourne Football Club. He's done everything for everyone. He's just team managers, all that sort of stuff. Well, of course, Nikki. We're this is why this stuff's working out with us at the moment.
My generation, baby.
Robin brought me a cherry ripe many years ago for my birthday. Thank you, Robin. I think it was so good. Someone asked me.
I like cherries and I don't like dark chocolate, but for some reason they just work.
Do you like coconut?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
what were those chocolate bars that had the coconut on them?
Oh yes, summer rolls.
Oh yeah,
they're so
summer
good.
rolls.
So good. Happy birthday, Wednesday. Thank you, Barry. You are just a pup. Yeah, well, not feeling at the moment. I went and saw my club doctor, Andrew Daff. Shout out to the club doctor of the Melbourne Football Club for a long time. I went and saw him, who then referred me on to our club physio when I was there, Greg Cunningham, who worked on my back. I've got a real bad back, and it's I complain about it all the time. It's one of those things.
You went to the doctor first, and the doctor went, "I can't help you."
Yeah.
Stop complaining.
Well, I just thought, he would refer me, and I'd get. Are you supposed to? Anyway, you'll fix that problem. We'll keep banging on. Todd Viney, what a superstar. You got to think of some questions for Todd Viney because I've got him coming up in a sec. We just wanted to get through the first part of the show, get all the stuff right. It's been a slow week. Not much really happened other than the captain of the Australian cricket team. I like the memes that have come out. Have you seen some of the memes? There's one.
You're always so good at those,
I am. There's one that I saw on a WhatsApp group of it's a picture of Dave Warner, and it says underneath it, they finally released the dick pic that Tim Payne sent, and there's a picture of Warner. Come on now. That's mean. That's really mean. Hello, Jackie, Paul. I've already said hello to everyone. I'm just going to keep saying hello. And again, remember the questions for Todd, because Todd was a captain of mine when I first got to the club. What were your thoughts of Todd Viney from...
He was really good.
Yeah.
Playing against the Eagles.
He was, wasn't he?
He's wearing a headband.
Yes, he
I thought
did.
he was quite cool. He was like a quite cool looking midfielder.
Mm.
And fair, but tough.
So tough. And fair, you're right, absolutely. He was so inspirational. And that's why all these people loved him, because you just knew what you were going to get from Todd Viney was just crack in. And we're seeing it with his son now. But I feel like Jack is probably a little bit more, probably not as hard as maybe his dad was. I've got a great story that I'm going to stay on the show, because I've got a great story about parenting that I want Todd to talk about. It's just really bad parenting. But it seems to work because Jack's a fine, upstanding gentleman, and he's, captained the club and
Tough as nails, that's right.
couldn't kick for... It's interesting you say that, Paul, because Todd, and I'm going to message him right now and say, jump on the show. Is your mic fixed yet? He was the one that delivered my first touch. He kicked it from the middle and hit me on the chest. I should have had this vision pulled up, but I didn't. He's ready to go in a sec. Is it true that Jack... I missed that one. Is it true that Jack didn't know Todd had played in a grand final until Jack was an adult? Probably. Let's find that question out. Todd played in the 90, I think it was the 1990, not 90, because that was Collingwood West Coast, wasn't it? Collingwood West Coast grand final?
No.
No. 1990, Collingwood won the grand final.
No, we won't play the Eagles.
No. Hawthorn? Don't know. Is his microphone fixed?
Oh,
Yeah, you're going to jump off in a second anyway.
it's Paul's microphone. You know, 1988.
Getting stuck into you, Todd.
1988, Melbourne beat the Eagles in an elimination final. And
Yes.
I cried.
Did you?
We only came in the league in '87, so it was pretty. Everyone was like, I don't know.
West Coast Eagles were really they were competitive from the start. The way yes, 21, you cried. Well, it's great that you said that about Todd. He was very hard, very fair, very cool with his headband. We'll talk about that, Toddles. Don't you worry about that. I can see him in the waiting room. Why don't we just chuck him on?
Yeah,
let's get him. You get out of here. Your microphone's all stuffed up. Look at the man. He's always been a good-looking fella, Todd. And just ask him. It's been a competition between he and I as the sexiest man of the Melbourne Football Club. I think he gets me. Todd, what do you reckon?
Oh, well, I haven't actually heard that we were competing, Russell, but I've always been the fan favourite. You know that.
That's a standard Todd Viney answer. I should have expected that.
How many men of Melbourne calendars did you do?
I didn't do any. Didn't do any. How many did you get?
I think I was back to back.
You didn't have a lot of competition though, really, did you? Back in the day, who was the next best?
Stephen Tingay had a fair following in the day, and
he did.
Andy Lovell was quite buffed at a certain point
before
he jumped ship.
And he had the jaw, didn't he, Chopper? The jaw.
Oh yeah, he was a fearsome looking fellow Tasmanian, Russell,
yes.
where you're from.
Yes.
His dad was a world champion wood chopper, so he followed in his dad's footstep with the broad shoulders and strong and strong.
Oh, mate, there's some names that you're bringing up already that have got some of the fans that are on here. Because I don't know if you've caught this show, Toddles. We've been doing this since Geelong. I told you on the phone during the week. We've been doing this since the Geelong game down in Geelong where we won out with Max's kick after the siren, which was amazing. But there was this lull that you would have felt where you just had to sit down on the couch. You couldn't, the fans love to go out after that down Swan Street and talk about it and have a drink. But you can't do that when you're in lockdown. So we decided to do this show. And I've just had these guys come on every week just to be a part and feel a part of this, this club. And they've been throwing names at me from the start. They want to see, they want to know where they're all at. And you've just reeled a couple off then. Stephen Tingo we've had on the show, but we probably haven't mentioned Chopper Lovell, have we? Where's Chop at the moment? Do you know?
Well, I think he had spent quite a few years up in Queensland. He was coaching at the Gold Coast Suns. So I'm not sure he's still involved with the Gold Coast Suns, but I think he's still based up there.
Yeah. He'd be loving it up there. He'd be loving it up there. He'd have his shirt off all the time.
No, well, it was hard to get in the gym with the Stinger and Chopper at one particular time. Glenn Lovett fancied himself in the gym, but just didn't have the same sort of stature as those two other.
No.
I think he might have done he was more the smart, intelligent type,
yes.
Probably appealed to a different market.
Mysterious.
Than Stinger and Chopper. But
absolutely.
More the thinking man, Glenn.
He was. And Matthew, I've got to read you Matthew Nolan's message. I don't know if you can see on the screen there, Toddles, but Matthew says, my mum had many fantasies about Todd back in the day. Used to make my ears bleed hearing about them.
No, that's awkward if your mum's telling you about it.
It's very, very awkward. But let's get into it. Let's crack into this. We'll talk about the team now because I know you're very close to it. Obviously, we know that. But what people love to hear about mostly is back in the day. The era that they used to go to the G when they had time. These guys that are jumping on now. And saw some of the superstars like Stretchy and Straubs and these kinds of those players of that ilk. You came through at a really exciting time for the Melbourne Football Club. There was a lull for a lot of years, Barassi coaching, and then these young kids come through like you and Gary and all those names that you've just reeled off, and you had some success for a while. What was the difference back then, mate? What did you feel was the difference that got this club going again through the late 80s, early 90s?
Well, it's probably not too dissimilar to the re-emergence of the team that we're seeing at the moment. I mean, it's built on youth. So we had, in 1987 was my first year, and as you say, Ron Barassi had just finished his 5-year plan. John Northey was the coach who was in his second year as coach. I think he started in 86. But really, that team that's played finals in 1987, which was the first time since 1964, I reckon, was the first time. I think at the time it was like 23 years since we played the finals. But it was on the back of the under-19 premiership team. You had guys, Graham Yates, Greg Healy. You mentioned Steve O'Dwyer. But a lot of the guys had come through Gary Lyon, Brett Lovett. Had come through under-19s with Melbourne. I think Brett came from Hawthorn, but there was a lot of guys, Brett Bailey, who else? A lot of the guys came through the under-19s. And then they managed to, Cameron Schwab was the recruiting manager at the time, and managed to get a few players like Earl Spalding, the Duke.
The Duke.
Melbourne man, and then went to Carlton and played in the premiership. The Duke, Warren Dean and myself came in 1 year in 1987.
Yeah.
That was Robbie Flowers last year. He was really one of the few that were left. Steve Nick was the best and fairest winner.
Yeah.
Alan Jarrett was an older guy. That Brian Wilson, Brownlow medalist, that was still playing.
Obst.
Obba came. He was a fantastic player. So it was on the back of under-19s players, and then a few interstate recruits that we managed to pick up. The Phoebes came from Tasmania, Stephen and Matthew. But we had a couple of really good players like that came from nowhere. Doug Coop, Dean Sharon, who was they were tough as tough, you know. And we were a real competitive team. I reckon teams hated playing us in the late 80s, early 90s. Probably teams a little bit more talented, but having said that, when you look at some of the names that played in that period, we had some unbelievable talent. Steins, Lyon, Jakovic, Neitz, Schwartz.
Grinter.
Brett Lovett was an All-Australian halfback.
Yeah.
Sean White was a freak. So there were some guns there.
There's some fans reeling off names here too, like Flintoff, Newport, Eichhold. I mean, it really was a stacked team. And if I think back on it, you know, I was a very young man, but you learn stuff when you're at the club. And I've heard so many times from the people that we were just really unlucky with our finals campaigns, with our setups, with having to go to West Coast 1 year with a couple of weeks off another year because of a draw. You know, it just seemed like you guys were just right ready, but you're always up against this Hawthorn team that was stacked with players like Brereton and Dunstall. But you were there was a time there where you were better than that team. You know, you would have thought that you were better than Brereton and Dunstall and Buchanara and Dipper and names like that. I mean, they're infamous names, but you were a better team than them in some of those years. We
had a great record against Hawthorn in that period, the late 80s, and we obviously came up against the Hawks in the 88 grand final. You know, we played them in the 87 prelim, and I think during that year when we were just starting to emerge, we might have beaten them, and they were one of the super sides. And then the 87 prelim, you know, we were in front for the whole game up until the famous last kick of the day after the siren. So, no, we had a great record against the Hawks. They blew us out of the water with their class, and we were probably a little bit inexperienced and didn't handle the grand final that well in 88. But we had some super teams, super talent, and we just couldn't quite get there. Yeah, we played a prelim against West Coast. I mean, they were once again a superpower, state team, some unbelievable players that played in that team, and we couldn't get over the line.
Yeah.
So we're around the mark. We've got some injuries too at certain stages. You know, the Ox broke down with his knee. Gary hurt his back and struggled. Stinger got pushed through a glass window and had a lot of trouble with his hip from then on. Glenn Lovett had some calf injuries. A guy called Paul Primke, a few fans would know. He was an unbelievable player from South Australia, unheralded, but was rarely beaten. Loved playing on Kernahan, beat him all the time.
Yeah.
And he got a disease in his back and never played again.
Yeah.
So there was some hard luck stories, but ultimately we just couldn't quite get it done, which haunted me and my teammates and Melbourne supporters up until this year, of course.
Oh, look, mate, and I feel that pain because, I mean, you were still at the club when I first arrived, and you know what the club was like then. I mean, it may have been okay 15 years before, but the facility itself had become so dilapidated and so far behind what everybody else was getting into. And because of our financial status, we weren't able to sort of keep up, which would have been incredibly frustrating for you, no doubt, being the elder statesman and the leader at the club at the time. you'd have loved to have been able to maybe use that sports science that we didn't have to maybe in 2000 and look 98 when you were there, we were a fantastic team, really balanced, I thought. And yes, we did have those injuries, but some young kids coming through as well. What about 98 around that era? These young kids coming through, did you feel like, well, yes, maybe you were a chance again?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like 98 was the year. We played in the prelim, so that was Dana's second year or
second year, yeah.
Second year, yeah. And he had amazing.
First year.
First year, yeah. No, it was first year. Amazing impact so quickly. He came in, he really taught his game style, demanded a lot. Probably for the first time, he really challenged some of us older guys. I can remember Neil speaking to the group saying, for the 4K time trial, if you want to play in the midfield, you're going to have to run under 15 minutes. And then after the meeting, I went up and said, "G'day and welcome to the club." He said, "What time do you run the 4K?" And I said, "I got no idea. I've never really timed myself." And he said, "Well, why not?" I said, "I guess I just never really thought it was that important." He goes, "Well, if you don't get 15 minutes, you won't be playing in the midfield. Now, do you think it's important?" So, all of a sudden, he put me on notice right from that first meeting, and that was the same with some of the other senior guys. Got the best out of us as an older group of players, and you young guys came and played through the roof and got us. I think we beat West Coast over there, didn't we? Really young team.
Yep.
Early in the year, and we showed that we could beat anyone, and we went all the way to a prelim and lost to North. But I certainly did feel like that year we were as close as any of the years I was at Melbourne.
Yeah.
And so it was there, but just couldn't quite get it done.
That first meeting must have been early in the piece, because guys that are watching this show, and there's so many comments here, Toddles, that I just can't get to because there's so much other great stuff that we're talking about on the fly. But we had to do a pre-season. It was at Caulfield Grammar, wasn't it, down there? The luxurious lawns and the beautiful surrounds of the Caulfield Grammar. And we only went there is because Danners was going to teach us this new game plan, right? And it's really my first year. At 97, we went up to Bond Uni. We were Barmy, had been there a couple of years, and we know that he didn't really do too much in team meetings. It was all pretty much get out and do what you can do. But with Neil, he was going to start us again from scratch. Bring your textbooks, because we're going to be learning this, right? And we had this competition over this 4 or 5, 6 week period where we were going to learn this game plan, and there would be a quiz at the end. There was going to be a quiz. You had to answer all the questions that he'd been talking about. I think it might have been 30, 40 questions. And a week later, Danners gets up in front of us and goes, "The results are in. I'm going through the top 5 best marks." And you should have heard the room absolutely cry foul when he read out the winner was Todd Viney. You got nearly every question right. Now, you must have, that first meeting scared you. You must have had your thinking cap on and your listening ears.
I was wired in because he put me on notice, and as one of the senior guys, I was never that great at school, but by God, I listened and studied that few days we had a call for grammar, and it came out ducks of the school, which wasn't too hard to beat some of my dumb teammates.
No, Gary wasn't happy. Gary threw his book.
He's very ultra competitive, Gaz. So he wouldn't have liked that.
He thought he had you covered there. And look, you had some great players. And I related this story last week when I said we were going to get you. I said that maybe it was the video I did yesterday. I was talking about how, and you're going to tell a story in a minute about what you got me doing. But here's a story. We were doing a training session over in Melbourne. There's a bit of parkland over there, and we were the nomads, weren't we? We just, whenever there was grass, we'd go and take over, because we had no frigging home ground until April, because the cricket was always being played on the Junction Oval. But that's another story. Anyway, we're over there in Melbourne, and Adam Uze's in your training group. You've got the brand new Porsche Boxster. What a car that was. That was just the best. We were all salivating over going, how good is this? Schwabi's like, yep, Todd's deserved this. He's earned this. He spent a bit of money on it. Might look a little bit over the top, but he deserves it. You've thrown the keys to Adam Uze very confidently. I don't know why to this day, and said to him, can you just reverse the car for me? Or maybe he asked if he could. Can you tell the fans what happened next?
Well, then he proceeded to reverse my car straight into, I don't know whose car it was, but he reversed my brand new $130,000 Porsche into someone else's car, and then he came back very, very sheepish and very apologetic. Promised that he was going to look after and do it, but yeah, that was a sad day, and I'm surprised my temper held in good stead, because you wouldn't be coaching the Premiership midfield today if I let go.
No. It's one of those stories that lives in infamy amongst my era. How could you crash? Yeah. He's just brought his brand new baby home, and you've stuck. Anyway, a question's just popped up, and we'll jump around because it's a good thing to answer these questions. Jenny Love wants to know, how did it feel for you? And we saw the footage on the Melbourne Footy Club website of you being surprised by your boy bringing the cup into the room. And I must say, you were very astute at the time. What a big bushy beard you had. You were looking very wild man, a Borneo bushman. But anyway, the question is, how did it feel when you saw that bit of silverware?
No, it was amazing. I mean, I've looked at, it's been picked up by a few of the different social media sites and shared again. And I've read a couple of comments to say it was staged, and I didn't, I didn't see the camera was on me or whatever, but it was a total surprise, total shock. Really surreal that Jack came up with it. We've spoken about it. We tried so hard to get one ourselves and couldn't quite get there. And then your son takes up the challenge.
Yeah,
goes to the club that you played at, and we struggled for a period of time. His first 3 or 4 years, a baptism of fire, and really probably questions you as a father and a mother. At some stages, we were saying, did we do the right thing in sending Jack to Melbourne? Of course, that was some of our deepest, darkest times, but he was fully committed, and to see him go through those tough times, come out the other end, win a premiership, and then for him to bring it up here and surprise us, it was really special. I took it on its own tour of the farm. I've taken it out to see the cows. Took it, to one of my favourite spots, taken photos with it, top of the hill. So I've really cherished the opportunity to take some photos and put it in for the future.
It's a wonderful thing to see, and it's because you're seeing a father with a son. And we got a photo here. We'll flick this up as well. This is the early days of when Jack first got to the club. Look at you two there. It was so similar in the look. The Viney genes really. It really is dominant there. He'd be 18 there, probably 17 there in that photo. You're less.
Yeah, I think he might have been just 17 because he sort of signed before he turned 18. So he would have been probably 17 years of age.
Yeah.
Seems like in some respects doesn't seem that long ago, but all of a sudden I think he's played 9 years of senior footy. So now he's one of the older. He's 27. So he's played some senior footy, and now he's one of the senior guys. Young guys coming in. Jake Bowie, 7 games, 7 wins in a premiership, and 18 years of age. So he's one of the older guys.
Mate, and you've got a lot to do with this premiership as well, because, you've stepped away now, but you were there very present for probably the first 3/4 of his career thus far, Jack, working, obviously at the club in recruitment, and then a few various roles, and you were even a coach at some point along the way. So you were everything to everyone down at the Melbourne Football Club. But there's still some more stories about Jack I want to talk about, because, as I said, the fans love the stories. And here's a great story. You come from Tasmania, and you sit down in the junction over. You're throwing your kit. You get there early, and you're sitting at your new locker. I was number 42. And then slowly at around about 4:30, which is just before training time, the stars walk in. Jimmy Steins walks across the room, doesn't say anything to anyone, which was typical of Jimmy Steins back then. Get in, get out. And then Gary walks in, and then Todd walks in, and all these Steve Tingo superstars. And I'm just sitting there going, this is amazing. This is phenomenal. I've really hit the jackpot. I've watched these guys on TV, Schwarter, the Tingos we knew, the Phoebes we knew because of Tasmania. And then after a few months in pre-season, you're working your ass off to show these guys that you can really do it. Todd says to me, Robbo, and a couple other young kids, you're coming around to my house. I'm going to buy you lunch. You're going to have lunch on me. You might have to do a little bit of work for it, but you're coming to my house anyway. So we, I was wow, going to Todd Viney's house is going to be amazing. We roll up to the house and it's fully in renovation phase. Like the house is hardly a friggin' house. It's a shell, right? The front half of it, old Federation style house, I suppose you would say. And we were all given a room to demolish. And I'm not talking demolish the plaster that was the gyprock plaster. We're talking the old horsehair bloody plaster. I spent a day in one room and then I was out the front painting and I got a sandwich.
Yeah, but it had the lot. It was a sandwich with the lot.
It was a good sandwich.
I looked after my workers, but no, it was trying to build relationships with the younger teammates, get to know them who could work and work hard. You know, there was a bit of method behind my madness.
Yeah, okay, right, yeah.
And I was a little bit taken aback with some of your work ethic early days, because you did spend a lot of time asking for drinks. Can I get a drink now? Can I get a drink? Can I go to the toilet? No, Russell, you can't go to the toilet until you pull down that wall.
There was a lot of question marks over me back in those early days, I'm sure. You had to report back to Danners on what was going on. Oh, wow. No, they were good days. And I did say we were going to talk about in the pre-show, before you came on, Dob, I'm going to talk about the parenting style with Jack, because to be honest, it was hard for you and Meg to raise that boy of yours. Menace from the start. I knew it was a menace. When we used to go to after-match functions, Toddles, and you remember this really well, we'd have to go over to the Redleys over in the Great Southern Stand, or we'd be sent off to a room just to give back to the supporters. They were the days, they were great. Well, your boy would be with Meg in one of the rooms and full of sugar, no doubt. After a game, he's running around and just knocking in everyone. And I remember getting headbutted probably about 10 different occasions by your boy right in the center of the body there. He was brilliant at finding the soft spot. He was hard at it as a 10-year-old. Raising that kid must have been a full-time job for you.
No, yeah, it was a challenge. He didn't, as you say, he didn't sit still. He had plenty of energy, and he's always had some sort of fascination about hurting people. Like you just said, he just managed to always find that soft spot. And I think we used to come into the gym at the Junction Oval, and it was the gym racks that used to have to take a pin out of the gym weights to stick it in the different weights you wanted. Well, somehow he found a way of grabbing one of the rubber tubing that we used to have to wrap the ice packs around our legs to keep it tight. He used to take it from one side of the lat pull down machine to the other, and then pull out the pin and use it as a human, as a missile projecting gun that used to fire at people. And I think he might have broken a window at one stage, or mirror at some point. Yeah, which you weren't that happy with because you couldn't see yourself doing curls.
Of course.
No, he was full on. He was full on, and we always thought maybe it would come to good at some point, but
it has come to good, because we love the way he crashes in. So the next question, I think it was a question that somebody posed before. Do you see yourself in the way he plays? Do you see a lot of what you do, what you did in what he does? Because I like this question because I've got a son at the moment. He's playing basketball. And sometimes you'll see a move here or there and you go, that was similar to what I used to do. And it's a joy. It really is a joy to see, that come through. Who was the harder man first? Was it you or him?
Well, I'm amazed at, I'm 183 centimetres, and I played at, probably 89, 90 kilograms. So I was quite a big midfielder for the time. Probably not compared to these days Patrick Cripps and the Bonds and all those guys, but for the time, I was a big midfielder, and I played the way Jack plays. It's head in, head down, and straight through, and tackle hard, and compete all day. Well, he does the same thing, but he's 178 centimetres, and he's still quite strong. He might be 84, 85 kilograms, but, I was a lot bigger frame. So his body's taken a bit of a pounding because he plays the same way, but just doesn't have the same sort of protection that probably I did.
Yeah, some padding.
I had a bit more padding, yeah. And, but no, I see bits and pieces. I mean, with similar styles, we're just competitors, and I think that's. And most weeks you probably knew what you were going to get out of me the way I played, and you probably know what you're going to get out of Jack most weeks too.
Well, what I love about Jack is we still see a little bit of the old footballer in him, and I don't mean the way the old way he used to play. I mean the old footballer, the stuff that we grew up with, which is, if there's someone to be lined up and hit, he's going to do that job, but do it fairly. I think his question to the coach at the start of the grand final week was, "I've got a great game plan. First play for you, coach. I've got a great first play." And Goody's waiting for this is going to be a beautiful bit of tap work by Max down to someone, and we're going to weave it through and get to the forward line. But no, it was nothing to do with that. It was who he was going to line up and belt at the first centre bounce, which is absolutely brilliant. I love that about him, that he's still got that old footballer in him.
Yeah, no, and I think the first. I guess the question mark over our preparation was one game in 28 days, and are we going to come out ready to play? And the first contest, I think it was centre bounce, and Jack is in there, and he manages to get hold of one of his former schoolmates in Jack McRae, and gets hold of him twice, and I think set a bit of a tone and said, okay, well, no, Melbourne looked like they're ready to play and they mean business, and I think that was probably a good first 30 seconds for us.
Yeah. I love the way he played his whole final series, actually, because you got track, and Oliver and Max is in there doing some great things, whereas your boy's not the flashy one doing that because of his height as well. And Clayton Oliver's 6'2". He's your modern day midfielder, which is deceptive. You stand next to him, and I feel dwarfed standing next to him. I played bloody centre half forward, for crying out loud. But he's your in and under, and he's your quick hands, and he comes out with 30 possessions every single week. So he was so valuable to our midfield makeup because it takes all types. You can't have one style in there. You can't have three nuts in there. You've got to have some silk. You've got to have some outside, and you've got to have some inside. So a good mixture. I love the way he played his final series. But let's not keep blowing wind up his ass, because it's all about you this week on the show.
I need some more love.
Yes.
More love.
And you're getting it. Don't worry. The fans here are just all over it. They love it. I think it was on that very same day. It might have been a different day where you invited us over to have a catch up to your house, and the lovely Meg made us some food. But Jack was running around like crazy, and he was being naughty. He really was, Jack. Guys that are watching the show, Jack was a naughty boy sometimes, and boys with energy are naughty boys because you're trying to relax and have a good time and chill with the adults, and you've got this kid running through the room and jumping on everything. Well, the coffee table, you might not remember the story, you might remember it, Todd, but I certainly do. The coffee table, he kept getting on the coffee table, and you did not want him to get on the coffee table. You were like, Jack, get off the coffee table. And he looked at you, and with a defiant look on his face, like, no, stuff your dad. I'm going to get on the – he got up a bit higher. You're like, get off the coffee table. He continued to get up on the coffee table, and he put his head down near the wood. You grabbed his head, and you banged his head into the wood. Really?
No, I don't think that's true, Russell. I think you're putting a bit of sauce on that story.
And
I'll end up in jail.
It was only a little. It wasn't a big hit. It was just a little one to let him know that you're being naughty. And he looked up at you like shocked, and you looked at him and said, "Don't cry, don't cry." And he didn't. He sucked it in, and he walked out of the room. And I'm like, "Oh, that kid's going to be a killer."
No, they reckon they reckon you're a product of your environment, and I think he certainly wasn't. He wasn't mothered too much. He was sort of get up and get on with it. So I think I'm a big believer in the environment's got something to do with the way your children work out.
How did Meg go with that, your beautiful wife? Because childhood sweethearts, lovely story. All the way through the career, she was by your side. She was a great support, and great support for Jack as well. How did she go with such a crazy boy running through the house?
Yeah, no, he tested everyone, and his mother was, at one point of time when we'd moved to Echuca, and I'd been up there 2 years. Then I got an opportunity to go to Hawthorn and coach with Clarko in 2005. Jack was still in primary school, just started at 208 with Oliver Wines, and he got into that environment, and it was a great education for him because there's kids from all different backgrounds in the country. Like he was at Camberwell South, and pretty much all the kids at Camberwell South were all cookie cutters of each other. All the mums drove the same car, dads had similar jobs. Then he went to Echuca, and then it was the wild, wild west in some regards. And he got bullied a couple of times, or they tried to bully him. And one day he turned up and he got into a fight. And I was living down in Melbourne basically. I was going back to Echuca on a Tuesday night, spending Wednesday, and then coming back 5 o'clock Thursday morning. So his mum had basically full time.
Yeah.
And she had a couple of visits to the headmaster's office, and that culminated with Jack being bullied by this kid, and unfortunately got into a fight and hit him and broke his thumb. And then he had to go up, and Meg had to go in. She ran me in tears, and I thought something had happened, some sort of accident.
Yeah.
So I had to get in the car basically in front of the Echuca headmaster, 208, to explain Jack's behaviour. So he had his mother in tears quite a few times, particularly because he took advantage that I was in Melbourne and he was up there just with her and ran right over everyone. But he's got a good relationship with his mum. Mum's been by his side all the way through, and now if I talk footy with Jack, I get told to shut up.
Shut up. Yeah.
But if his mother talks to him, he listens. So there you go.
I love that. That's awesome. Hey, country boy, Adelaide boy. We know you came across from Adelaide in the mid to late 80s. We know the story about you being the brat. We got a photo here of you in your early days. Someone just said before, look at the two beautiful grins on the screen at the moment. You and I laughing at a story. Well, what about this cheesy? Look at this one here. Look at that. Oh, what a rooster.
That's no, I had the tips going there for a while. Or was it just the lemon juice? I can't remember. But I think I fell into all the trappings. I reckon that was probably my second year there.
Yeah.
1988. So I look back and think some of the things I did, I said, I can't believe I did that. I can't believe I got my hair tipped. I can't believe I got a Porsche. I lost my way for a certain period of time.
Me too, many times. I watch some of the games and look at the hairdos, and then I think about some of the things I did within those games. Like I was playing on instinct there. There was no real thought thinking through that, because I wouldn't have done that if I was a smarter man. There's a question here I want to go to, because I mentioned the country has a calling for you. You're not a city boy. As much as you probably look like a city boy back then, you're not a city boy anymore. You like getting out of the country. Someone said something about Robbie Flower up in the Murray. Did you catch up with the Tulip much up in the Murray? Was that what the question was, I think?
Yeah. Well, no, Robbie and I became, as I said, my first year was Robbie's last year. I'd actually met him a couple of years before when Melbourne were trying to recruit me, and they sent me to live with Robbie for a week because I thought I'd like to have a sports store maybe down the track,
Yep.
So Robbie had a chain of sports stores. We became great mates. And my first investment after my first paycheck in 1987, I got $15,000 and I went halves with a speedboat with Robbie Flower. We became great mates. So we ended up going water skiing a lot up at the Murray River with through David Williams, who's a Rochester boy.
Yes.
Who gave me number 12. In fact, he was number 12, then wanted to go to 15, gave me number 12. So he lived up at Rochester. We went water skiing with Tulip and became great mates and bought a boat. So I've always had a loving affection for the country lifestyle.
Yeah.
And went to live in Echuca, down the track after footy finished. But, Robbie was a great mate of mine and someone that I've thought about a lot since we've just won this premiership. He was so diehard, never got to play apart from that last year in finals. So he played 3 finals.
Yeah.
It's just been so rapt to have seen us win this premiership. So I've spoken to his family a little bit over this last month or so, just to touch base. But he was a great man, Robbie Flower.
He certainly was. And you got to play with the great man, which will lead me to a question next. But you mentioned Dirty Dave. I think he's still in Rochester. He's got a tyre business up there, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's the king. He's the king of the
Golden Belt. Yeah.
He's got a tyre business, but I think he's one of the wealthiest men in the Goulburn Valley. I'm not sure it's all ties, but he's done remarkably well.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. If you're ever in the Golden Valley or up Rochi Way, see if you can find Dirty Dave, because he's a super footballer back in the day and a great Melbourne man as well.
And a super coach. He was amazing. Amazing coach. Had an unbelievable history of coaching Rochester, and had
Juniors
a great
as well.
rivalry with Simon Eisholt, another Melbourne player that coached Echuca. And so the Echuca-Rochester clashes were
huge.
Huge. And they used to punch on all the time. Dirty and Ice.
Yeah. They built them very hard up in the country, and there's no exception up that way. Rochi, and I think I played a game up in Rochester once, and the crowd, it was quite scary, quite intimidating. I thought I'd seen some crowds, but this was I think it was the wet areas behind the goals at one end. And I absolutely copped it from the guys. It's on that bitumen area. One end's just trees, at the other end's the bitumen area, and I reckon there was beer cans thrown at me in the goal square at one stage. So, you got to get out in the country and play footy. That's when you know you're really living. Now, Toddles, the headband question somebody's already asked before. We've got to talk about the tennis, because it's another question that was asked. You don't really see, for instance, me with my music and football, those don't usually go hand in hand. Tennis and football surprisingly does. A lot of guys playing football love their tennis. Neil Danaher loved his tennis. He used to play all the time. Tulip apparently played with you. He was a pretty handy
good
tennis
player.
Good
little tennis player,
So your tennis history, give us that one, and then, of course, the retirement and then the coming back and all that stuff.
Yeah, well, I mean, just like most young kids, I played everything when I first started going to primary school. I played football, tennis, did athletics, and then, you have the opportunity to represent the state in different things, and I represent the state in athletics, then football, and then tennis. And probably football was always my favourite, though. I grew up a Sturt Football Club fan. My dad was involved with the Sturt Footy Club.
You played for Sturt, yeah?
Yeah, football players were my heroes, the Sturt Footy players. But when I got to about first year high school, tennis, I'd just been away to my first Australian team overseas, and I was in the top couple of kids in Australia, really, number one in South Australia for my age. And then, just the ball started rolling where, maybe tennis is the right career path to concentrate on. So I gave up football first year high school to concentrate on tennis.
Yeah.
And then by the age of 16, so at the end of year 10, I went to live at the Institute of Sport in Canberra as part of that team with Darren Cale and guys like Mark Kratzman, Pat Cash was a year older. Mark Woodford wasn't part of that team, but
good era of tennis.
Yeah, it was a good era. And then I did that for another 2 years, basically 2 years at the Institute of Sport and traveling the world playing. And I just got a bit jaded with it and didn't love it. I was playing because I was good at it and I thought I'd make a career out of it, but I didn't love it like the other guys did. I hated traveling, so I was in Switzerland. I decided I was going to give up. I told the Australian coach I'm giving up. I rang my mum and dad. I ended up having to stay in Geneva, Switzerland for a week by myself while my teammates went on before I could get a flight back. And then I said, well, God, what am I going to do now? And I thought, I'd like to play footy. So I wrote out a bit of a plan to play footy. I got back from Switzerland on a Friday. The Sturt Football Club knew I was coming back through my father. They signed me up to play under-19s the next day.
Yeah.
Took me down to the Oval, got a pair of boots, played under-19s the next day, played full forward, your position. Played the next 3 games. We made the finals, and then we played the finals, and we won the grand final. And then all of a sudden I was away, and then the next year I played senior football for Sturt.
Yeah.
And that's when I got contacted by Cameron Schwab from Melbourne. I went away on a footy trip to San Francisco, Los Angeles, Hawaii with Ron Barassi and the players to get to know them.
Yeah.
And Kevin Sheedy used to fly in, but I decided I wanted to go to Melbourne. And then it all started.
Rest is history.
That was the tennis into football. It happened really quick, and I can't believe that I was playing VFL footy after 2 years playing footy again.
I mean, you don't look back and go, well, I wish I'd gone down that path, because you were able to be a part of so many special moments for the Melbourne Football Club. And I've had time to reflect over the last 6 to 8 weeks since we've won this premiership, or however many weeks it's been. Time is a funny thing since COVID came around. I look back on my career at my time, going from 97 through to 2009. We had our opportunities. We're a good team, and we could have won a premiership. And then, you see your son bring it home with this amazing setup that we've got at the club now. It's just a phenomenal setup. And there's so many people that put a power of work in to get the club to this point. And then they get this amazing glory. But I don't regret a thing. I wouldn't change a thing. I mean, the way I feel now about the club, of course, you and I would have loved to have been premiership players for the Melbourne Football Club, but I feel like I'm part of a tapestry. I feel like I'm a part of this thing. We're all a part of it, and I'm getting that from all the supporters as well. And I'm sure you feel that way. And a question's come up here that I want to touch on: the Western Oval round 2287. Did you play in that game when it was all about do it for Robbie, and the Hawthorn game
Yeah.
down in Geelong? What was
Yeah,
that like?
no, that was my first year. I mean, I concur with what you say. I mean, I've been blessed to be at the Melbourne Footy Club, and it's been a big part of my life since I was a bit older because of my tennis background. So I was 20 when I came over. Had my 21st birthday at Melbourne. After my first game, playing my first game of football for Melbourne, and to be part of that year, we played finals. We had to win the last 6 games of the year. We had to beat Footscray at the Western Oval on the last game, and we needed Hawthorn to beat Geelong down at Geelong, I reckon. So that was a historic game in so many respects, because we hadn't played finals for that 23 or 24 years.
Yeah.
So to be part of that, and then we were on a mission. We smashed North Melbourne in that first final series. I kicked the first goal from the boundary, which people still ask me, was I actually trying to kick it? Was I centering it? And so I wasn't a renowned goal kicker, Russell.
No.
But then we smashed Sydney in the second game, and both those teams had belted us during the year. Sydney were red-hot favourites. Had Kappa and Healy and Diesel Williams, Bernard Toohey. They had a great team. And then we got to play Hawthorn, which becomes folklore in that prelim.
Yeah.
And then we played in the grand final in 88. So, I mean, I was blessed under John Northey. We played finals for 7 years in a row. Really good team.
Yeah.
Really good bunch of mates. Great times. Great camaraderie with the players and the girls. And then, then I was lucky enough to get into. When I finished playing in 99, Dennis asked me to come back with Jimmy and Gary to do a bit of coaching on a part-time basis. And then I coached, with Clarko at Hawthorn, went to Adelaide Crows, then came back to Melbourne. I spent up to the last couple of years, 9 years back at Melbourne in different roles, as you said, mainly in list management, and a little stint as a standing coach when Dean Bailey finished up. But I've pretty much done everything. I'm a Melbourne person. Melbourne shaped me into the person I am.
Yeah.
And I wanted to come back, after a bit of success at Hawthorn Premiership, after going to Adelaide, to try and help the rejuvenation of Melbourne. And I spent 9 years trying to rebuild with a lot of other people that have put in so much time to get us to that final that we had the other day.
Amen to that. Absolutely. So many. As someone who says here, hi, Todd. Gina Hartskiri says hi. I'm assuming you know who that is.
Gina's great. Gina and Roller, great Melbourne people. Been around when I was playing. Been sponsors of Jack for a long time too. So
awesome.
Great people.
It really is a big family, the Melbourne Football Club. And I've felt that since this premiership too. And I've just felt like, as a player, you feel a little differently to the supporters that have been doing it since they were 2, supporting a team. And we had the opportunity to bring that glory to the club. So I feel like it's a little bit of a different feeling. But what I've felt mostly, Todd, you probably feel the same way as me, is such joy for all of those guys like Gina, like, the Don McClartys of the club that have done everything, the people that have supported and put their hard-earned. And it's not just the hard-earned, it's actually the emotion towards it. It's every single day wishing and hoping their whole lives, and it finally comes into fruition. That's such a joy, isn't it?
It is. I mean, I think this has really unified the club. Melbourne's been a great club, but because of the lack of success, I mean, the ultimate success, like you had success with Neil, and I had success with Neil and John Northey, and there's been eras where we've been respected and a good club, but, you know, we've gone without the ultimate success.
Yeah.
And unfairly, I think we've been tarnished with this, you know, negative reputation, you know, the snow skiers and all that type of stuff, you know. A bit like Geelong before they became a great team.
Yeah.
The last 15 years, they were the handbaggers, and
Yeah.
Richmond, they were always the perennial come ninth. And until you get the bunkie off the back, you know, you've got to cop it. But I really think this premiership's united everyone, all the different eras, from past players, people that have been Melbourne people but perhaps haven't really embraced the club, I think, because of a lot of things that have gone on. But I think it's brought everyone together. This is the starting point. I think we put everything else behind us now. And I think we've got a great future. The club's in good hands, good playing list, well administered, good recruiting people, good coaches.
Yeah.
And now let's get behind them. And I think that's what this premiership's done, is brought everyone together and brought so much joy.
Yeah. What's the brother Jay up to these days?
Yeah, no, Jay's in Adelaide after finishing at Melbourne. He went back to Adelaide. He went back to the Sturt Football Club. He played footy under Phil Carman, who's a famous person. Played football at Melbourne, fabulous Phil Carman. Didn't have a lot of success. He was captain of Sturt for a number of years, then went on to change clubs, went to North Adelaide and became captain of North Adelaide as well. He took over my family's building business, took over my father. He's got two lovely kids that have grown up. He's sort of retired now, still renovating houses, does an amazing job with his wife Leah, interior decorator, and they come up with some amazing houses in Adelaide. And I've just bought another one, which in Rose Park, which is one of the blue ribbon suburbs. He's doing that up at the moment, so he still keeps pretty busy. He's a lunatic fisherman. Loves fishing, always going to Darwin. Loves posting photos.
Does he catch up with Alan Jakovic? Go fishing with him anytime?
No, he hasn't caught up with Jacko. I mean, Jacko, is he in WA?
Not many people catch. Exactly.
Yeah, I think we don't know.
You know, no one can catch up with Jacko. I'm pretty sure at some stage the law could catch up with Jacko. It's very hard to find, but he loves his fishing. I know that because we had him on the show, Toddles. He came on the show grand final week. He jumped on the bandwagon. He got over there because he was in Perth, obviously, and he got in the rooms. And it was great to see. It was great to see all those Melbourne people coming back to the club. Some questions coming through. The feeling and the emotion from the Demons FC want to know the feelings and the emotions for you when we went bang, bang, bang in that third quarter there, when it started to really, really go. How did you feel in those moments?
Well, it's some of the best football I've ever seen.
Yeah.
So I just went really quiet. I mean, I was really up and about the first quarter. The second quarter, I thought, oh, God, we've let that slip a bit. We're back into an arm wrestle. And then early in the third, I was like everyone, getting nervous, and we just lost all momentum. So, but then all of a sudden, when we went and kicked those goals in quick succession, I just went quiet. I just thought, you know, can this happen?
Yeah.
Because at some point, I went into the game thinking we were favourites, and if we played our best footy, we'd win.
Yeah.
Then I started listening to the experts, and, you know, one game in 28 days, and 8 players under 21, and I said that is inexperienced, and all of a sudden started thinking some of those negative thoughts. But when we just that third quarter, I just couldn't believe it. Some of the best footy, you know, out of stoppage, some of the most exciting footy I've ever seen. So I went really quiet. And the start of the last quarter, I mean, I'm always a bit of a pessimist being in football for such a long time. You always think, how much can we get up without getting run down?
Yeah.
And we saw in the, you know, when we beat Geelong by 7 goals at Geelong. I mean, I've never seen that happen.
No.
So you don't want to count your chickens, but the momentum just continued to build. And I still felt a little bit surreal. Didn't know how to feel. Wish I could have been there.
Yeah.
Wish I could have been on the ground. Wish I could have been in the change rooms. But it was just with the media family, so it was tough.
I can only imagine for you, mate. Really, I mean, I watch my son's local basketball game, and I feel like running on the court and giving him a high five when he scores a bucket. For Christ's sake, and it's just local basketball. Your boy has just brought home. Your boy with all those other boys have brought home the silverware that we've been looking for so long. So, kudos to you, mate, and thank you for creating that boy of yours as well, and then the stand up human that he is, because he really is a good kid, isn't he?
Yeah, no, I think he's represented our family extremely well and represented the Melbourne people really well. He bleeds red and blue, and he has ever since those early days running around the change room. So it's great to see, all that unfold in front of us, and see him do so well. I've never seen him so happy.
Yeah.
After that win, he FaceTimed me on the ground with Goody.
Yeah.
I've never seen him so happy. And then I see him doing confetti angels in all the confetti on the ground. It was just like he was 7 or 8 years of age,
That's
so
awesome.
He's a pretty serious young guy, but to see him so happy makes you as a parent really happy.
Would do, mate. Goosebump stuff. And look, really, what I like about it is that he's almost offended if you say anything bad about Melbourne. That's how Melbourne he is. He's a player, right? And he's always going to be measured. But he takes such offense to anyone saying anything bad. It's his life plan at the moment. It has been since he knew about football, to make the Melbourne Football Club great. And that's the truth. He really, really, really feels it. And look, we as players, we come in, Todd, and we just want to make an impression. We want to do something with our lives, sporting wise. I mean, I didn't have any family affiliation with the Melbourne Football Club. You were starting something when you first got there. So I guess we go through a stage by stage process of wanting to make it in the team. Then we want to bring success to the team after that. And then we're just trying to hang on for dear life. Well, from the moment he's known anything about football, he's just been about making the Melbourne Football Club great. And he's every breath, every sinew of him, he gets offended if you say anything bad about his club, his old man's club, and I absolutely love that. We've been talking for ages. We can go for it forever, Todders. We've got to wind it up because you've got to get back to the family. But greatest Melbourne moment for you, other than this premiership win, of course. Greatest Melbourne moments, memories, really. When did you feel, wow, that was a big moment?
Well, for me, playing my first game, playing that 1987 final series in my first year is still, I haven't got a great footy memory, but I can still remember the lead up and that whole final series. So that was certainly a unbelievable time in my life. Young guy playing footy for the first time in Melbourne with such great people, the Melbourne Football Club, Robbie Flower. So that really sticks out in my mind. Captain of the Melbourne Football Club when I was lucky enough to captain the footy club in that 98 season and getting to the prelim final with a real, some great senior players that were helping along the way, leadership, but so many young guys that went on to be champions was really a highlight. Getting to the club after footy, after being a player, and then contributing for 9 years in an administration point of view, to see the growth of the club, to see, probably the 2018, prelim final where we hadn't played finals for a long time, and then we played in that prelim, got to a prelim and just faltered badly, but we got there. It looked like momentum had really changed. People were starting to believe that we could become good. So I think they were the main times that I think I've been really proud of the club and loved my time at the footy club.
Do you remember in that game out at the Whitten Oval, Western Oval, being pulled over towards at 3/4 time the Melbourne fans? Do you remember that? Yeah. Someone mentioned it.
Yeah. No, right. John Northey was the master motivator, so he'd do things like that all the time. He pulled us over there, like before a game, he'd make us run right over, right next to the boundary where the Melbourne supporters were to, get us into the mood or the spirit. Know that we were playing for not only ourselves, but for all those people that were at the Whitten Oval or the Western Oval. He was the master at playing mind games and us against them, but representing the footy club, he was very good at it.
I remember seeing some vision of you wrestling Robert Di Domenico and handling yourself very, very well in that fight. Do you remember that?
Of course, you're fighting. It's like fighting a crocodile. You're fighting for your life.
Would he be one of your toughest? Who was your toughest opponent?
I mean, there was some great players. I mean,
Yeah.
Dipper was a fierce player, and I guess the times were different back then. In the late '80s, you're still very physical. Wrestling and fighting was part of your toolkit, really.
Yeah.
There was guys from St Kilda that were tough, like guys like Greg Burns was super tough, but playing on Robert Harvey, I found just as tough, but for different reasons, because he just used to run so hard.
Yeah.
I mean, I was aerobically fantastic, and I used to be physically sick at quarter time trying to keep up. So running with Robert Harvey was an enormous task, and playing on Nathan Buckley when he first came into the competition was exciting. Tony McGuinness, Chris McDermott from Adelaide.
Yeah.
There was a lot of tough midfielders.
Great midfielders, Diesel and blokes like that.
Yeah, Diesel would give you a whack. Johnny Platten was a great player. Craig Bradley, different style player to me, but it was one, if you had to try and play on him, you'd have to have your running shoes on because he was an elite endurance player. So there was lots.
Yeah, I remember Hoppy was playing on Rob Harvey, and I think we got the ball. Sorry, St Kilda got the ball on our half forward flank, so their half back flank, and Hoppy's yelled out to me, "Robbo, go with Banger." And I turn and see Banger, and he'd do that thing where he'd pick a spot that he was going to run to. He didn't care about the ball. He's picking a spot on the other flank down the other end, and he's going to put his head down and sprint there and not stop until he got there. And I thought, oh man, Rob Harvey, I'm 19 years old. I'll follow this fella all the way down. I put everything into my sprint. I could not keep up with him. He took off. He got there and he got the friggin' mark out in front of me. I could not believe what had just happened, and I couldn't breathe. He just had this unbelievable ability to just go. Poor old Hoppy.
Yeah, no, he could just repeat. So obviously, he won 2 Brownlows. He was a pretty handy player.
Pretty handy player, mate. Todd, that's just been absolutely awesome. And look, there's so many questions that I'm sorry to everybody that I didn't get to a lot of your questions. And there's so many points in there. If you want to have a look back, Todd, there's some great stuff that you might remember. And they've just got a wealth of knowledge, these fans, and memories for them of every single game all the way through to this point. So this has been a real blessing for me, is just to learn so much more about the Melbourne Football Club and stuff from your era, the great players of your era. I'm trying to get them through. I'd love to get Swoop on the show. I know he's back home up in Ballarat that way, isn't he?
I think he might be. I think he might be just out of Geelong now. I think
he's moved,
Lara, but something like that. But if you could get Swoop, I mean, he's still an unbelievable follower of football, and still a mad Melbourne person. I haven't caught up with him since we've won this flag, but he'd be so thrilled.
Yeah.
He used to send me messages when I was doing the list management stuff. He'd be sending me messages and giving me a bit of a bake for some and a bit of a pat on the back about others. But he's still a mad Melbourne person. Got such a wealth of knowledge on footy. It'd be great to get on your show.
Gary says, great show, guys. I think so too. That's been really interesting for me because, I mean, it's the early part of my career was the end of your career and some really great players that we got to play with. And that's got to be the last question. Who's the best player you ever saw wearing the red and the blue? You've got Gary Lyon, you've got Robbie Flower, you've got the Wizard, Schwarter, Neitz, Gomez, as you said. Glenn Lovett was a walk-up start every single year to the All-Australian team, wasn't he, on the halfback flank? He was unbelievable. So we all get a little bit sort of biased and Shula, but was he the best player you ever saw? Who else?
I think from a whole deep heap of reasons, one being I just don't want to try and narrow it down to one because you mentioned some of those guys, but from a talent point of view, Robbie, from an emotional point of view, Robbie, from a Melbourne point of view, Robbie.
Yeah.
So he was just my hero.
Yeah.
As a player, as a person, he set such a great benchmark for me to try and live up to as a Melbourne person. So Robbie Flower, in my opinion.
Yeah, good call. I'll go with that. I mean, you don't get a wing named after you on a Melbourne game if you're not a superstar. The kid I think he was from Bentley Way. I think Murrumbina. That's right. Yeah, he used to play down there. Got the call up, this skinny kid, and everyone just thought he was like the water boy or something when he first rolled up. He goes on to be the greatest player the Melbourne Football Club's ever had, which is an awesome story. And he's so sorely missed because it would have been a beautiful thing. Such a great visual would have been to see him, Ron Barassi, maybe, all those great captains of the Melbourne Football Club handling that cup. For all our fans, that would have been absolutely super. But that's been super, Todd. I knew it would be. I appreciate your time. A father of a kid that has really done super things. You must be a proud dad. Great chatting, mate. Maybe we'll see you soon at a function. Are you going to come to Ballers catch-up?
I'm going to be there on the first Friday in December, Robbo. I'll be there. It's on the rooftop. So I think there's some great celebrations coming up at the MCG with all our supporters to celebrate the premiership. So I'm looking forward to getting there and seeing a lot of people I haven't seen for a long time.
Good on you, Toddles. I'm going to finish this show up here with these fans. I'll let you go, mate. Get back to that lovely wife of yours. Say good day, and I'll see you very soon, December 5th, if I don't see you before.
Good on you, mate. See you. Thanks for having me.
See you, Toddles. Well, there you go. That's just awesome stuff. What do you reckon, Dave? How did you feel about it? It was so good. And I love your comments, everybody. Thank you so much, Robin. Glenn, Gary, Ruth, thank you. It's a joy, really. Every Sunday night, I actually really look forward to jumping on and chatting. Jack Trengove sends his apologies too. He was going to jump on with this grand final where he's been busy with Bucks party after Bucks party after Bucks party, he reckons. But he's really looking forward to coming on and talking about a different era for the Melbourne Football Club, which was a really challenging era. That era for Melbourne was sensational. It was like the wild, wild west of football, wasn't it? Hawthorn in the 80s. And then you've got this Geelong team with Gary Ablett Sr. in there. The West Coast Eagles, the mammoth West Coast Eagles come in. You got super players there. It was awesome to watch, wasn't it?
It was the birth of the AFL.
Yeah.
That was when the Crows came in,
yes.
The Eagles came in.
Brisbane Bears.
The Bears.
The Bears.
Roger Merritt used to hide in the shade.
Big Rog. I feel, and as Todd alluded to many times there, you do feel very honoured to be a part of that. Like, I feel like I'm a part of a tapestry for the Melbourne Football Club. You forget every day. Like, I'm doing remedial things like everybody does now. And, when we wore it's like that old saying, we were once warriors. When we wore the colours, we were, you were in it and you're fighting and you felt invincible. And now I just look back and I'm living a normal life now. But I think about the Melbourne Football Club and I think that I'm part of that rich tapestry, that there are so many great names. Todd Viney, Gary Lyon, Jimmy Steins, the Tulip, Robbie Flower. Then you go back even further. You can just reel names off for days. David Schwartz was going to be one of the greatest players of all time before he did his knee. We know that Nietzsche is a superstar. And you go back all to the days of Barras. But even through all those eras, there were still really great players. Had everything sort of worked club-wise, maybe they'd be premiership players too. So it's interesting. It's very interesting to hear those stories. I'd love to get Swooper on. I think we work towards that one. He's as a coach, he could have been a premiership coach for the Melbourne Football Club. He really was a super coach. And I reckon these guys would have a real affinity for Swooper and what he was able to do with that team. So, yeah.
Thank you for this. This is like a highlight. For you're saying it's a great Sunday.
Yeah.
I think everyone will agree. Like, I love the Sunday. I love it.
Yeah.
I just sat here and I was like filming and I was listening. I was like, I can't believe for the last 6 weeks or 8 weeks, I've been sitting here and hearing from like all these legends of the Melbourne Football Club, including yourself. And like, it's just amazing. It's absolutely amazing to reflect and think back on stories, and it's really great. And to have these people in the community jump in and like, good job.
Thanks, man.
You should feel very proud of yourself.
I'm feeling proud because I'm enjoying this too, but I'm feeling proud of, the comments are really great, and that's really nice to hear that. But also, mate, we're kind of legit now, aren't we? we're talking about whiskies on the show, and
I
I
thought you were
talked.
going to say something else there, but not legit. I was like, well, we're not coming out. Right? Not yet.
No,
No,
I have got a
no.
very Brokeback kind of shirt on, haven't I?
It is a little it's a bit different.
It is a great delight to be basking in the glory of our premiership, Gary, and we'll keep doing it. Let's make it last. But we've got that whiskey sponsorship coming. Russell's Reserve. We'll get the bottle up. My favourite kind of whiskey. We're waiting for them to. This is my favourite.
Did you tell people about that?
So that's what I'm sort of segueing to that. But it's my birthday coming up, people. If you want to send me.
Should we get him a better jacket for his birthday?
Yeah, I do need a better jacket. All right. Okay. I don't know. All right. I don't know what I was thinking when I bought that.
I'm only stirring you up. It's not that. It's just like your reaction.
I know. But we had a fella message me.
It is, Gary. That is empty. He drank it all.
It's gone, and that's just today. No, it's not at all. That's been over a few weeks.
If your name is on the bottle, you can get a refill.
Yes, exactly. Come on, Russell's Reserve.
Good questions, by the way.
Great questions all the time by him. We had a fella message me saying, "Now, do you like bourbon? Do you like scotch? Do you like I said, just whiskey. And he's got a mate of his who's sending me a bottle of whiskey. It's a what would you call it? Not a bespoke, but just a fella's got a distillery somewhere, bootleg type thing, and he's trying to be a legit businessman. He's sending me some whiskey, and I'm going to put it on the show, and we're going to trial it, and we're going to give big props.
Because you've been talking about whiskey and you
Yeah,
get free whiskey.
That's right.
Can we talk about gin?
We can talk about Ferraris too. Yeah, you like your gin.
Yeah, how did you go? Because you went to the shops today to get a gin.
Dave has been amazing for me doing this show, and I said I'll pick you up some gin on the way over.
Why would you say it and turn up with nothing?
Because I didn't. I got to the bottle, and there's a million different flavors.
Just any of them is fine. Like anything's better than nothing. You just don't turn up with an empty bottle.
I know that now because I said to him, I didn't know which one to get, and he goes, "So you got nothing?"
Yeah. What the fuck?
I will make it up to you, I promise.
Typical forward.
Very selfish.
Yeah, typical forward.
Not very giving.
No. You couldn't be spectacular, so you wouldn't do anything at all.
Hey, Gary makes a good question. Puts together a good question there. Is Robbo singing on the 5th of December?
Do it now.
No, not now. But on December 5th, there is a big event happening, and there is some halftime entertainment. I don't know what that entertainment is. I don't know much about the December 5th thing. It's very under wraps. But wouldn't that be lovely?
Sing
at the MCG. Wouldn't that be wonderful?
December 5th, this is the big unveiling.
So it's like 40,000 people are allowed to the MCG. I think it should be more. But
why only 40?
Well, I don't know. Is there density things? I'm not sure. I thought it was all open soon. Please.
It's not awesome.
It'll do. It's a Chivas Regal. It's not too bad. So everyone's going to December 5th. Expect big things. It's going to be phenomenal. I have heard a couple of little murmurings that are happening that you wouldn't be privy to. But come to the December 5th thing. And what's that?
Something else.
You got your own special. You're holding out. That's a double.
Yeah, it's because you wouldn't give me any gin, so I'm not giving you mine.
Giving me the crap Chivas Regal when you're going. Anyway. Is there going to be Auskickers the hard time, Duxie? I'm not sure. I'd love to sing on the 5th of December. Let's see if we can make it happen. Let's start a petition. Let's get it going. I'd love to get my band going. Meatloaf. I love
How was that?
It was
How good was the halftime entertainment this year?
We said that. We did say that on the show. We
did?
With the week after.
Oh, okay.
Not the day, not after
Not
the show,
that
because I was so drunk.
But how good was that entertainment?
Which brings me to the next point. You can listen to all these old shows on Spotify, on podcasts, on any podcast platform. You'll find this show, Robbo Live. YouTube, it's there if you want to watch them.
We cut this nonsense out.
Yes. Keep the interviews. So many great players, so many great interviews. You'd love to hear them.
Who do you guys want? And what do you think of the show? Tell us honestly about, hopefully, you tune in, so hopefully you like it.
What do you want to see more of? What do you want to see less of? If it's just chat, then that's great. We can do that. But if we're going to add anything to this, because we want to keep building this and make it more fun. And also, we are transitioning a little bit from just Melbourne people because we'll always talk about Melbourne. Don't you worry about that. This is going to be a Melbourne-themed thing, but we'll get other people.
Hardly noticed, Kim. Because... Well, I didn't really notice, but I was doing my best to keep myself like
standing straight up.
Just concentrate.
Press the right buttons.
But which one does this do?
My sisters back in Tassie laughed their heads off at me after. They're like, they were giggling watching their brother drunk on. I don't want to watch it. I don't want to watch it. I'll be there, Louise. Don't you worry about that. I'll be doing something. Because
next year we should do a show before the games. You should do a show. You do it.
Yeah, and please leave
Thursday night or like a Demons pre-game.
Yeah.
Or even
let's get
before the game.
What do you
guys think?
Get a player on to talk about the game coming up and get some insight from them, and then talk about their careers and what they used to do before. So I think that's a really great point. Anything, just throw us up because we don't know what we're doing here. We're just
superstitious.
I used to be.
What did you do?
I used to always have. Here's my pre-game thing.
Because you still got that avocado. It's
not going anywhere. It's still there. It's hard. It's very hard. That dented the table. Sorry. Well, I used to have a big pasta meal the night before a game. Of course, everybody sort of did that. That was no biggie. Watch a movie, go to bed about 10:30, quarter to 11. Wake up. I used to have the biggest bowl of Nutri-Grain, just Nutri-Grain, loaded with sugar. You're going to burn it. So, I didn't like to eat too much because I used to get reflux. So that was all I would have before a game, and just like a litre of water. And I'd listen to, just before I got to the MCG, as I'm driving and I can see the stadium, I would always load up my Throwing Copper album live. And I would put on as loud as my Type R Honda, which is what I had at the time. A Type R.
Type R?
Yeah.
What's that?
It's like a really sporty, it had one of those big spoilers on the back, big spoiler. And Steve Tinger used to call it the Huckleberry Fin on the back. What's going on with a big Huckleberry Fin?
Did you play music in the change rooms?
Sometimes we did, but it was kind of personal. So
yeah, because you can't be DJ, right?
Yeah, no. Some people wanted music, some people didn't. So headphones. So you know.
Are they Discmans then?
Discmans. Yeah, we'd be walking around with a Discman as a.
A couple of CDs.
Very uncool. I didn't do that. I didn't. I just read the footy record. I'd like to read the footy record.
Oh, really?
That was it. I used to get it off the doorman, read it, lie down, relax, go out and play. But I would always listen to I Alone by Live as my big pump up. That's one. Yeah. Love that song. That was my thing. Thoughts on Mummy making a comeback after Delisted 2.0? Why not? Keep them going. If they're great characters. Why lose them?
Why not? He's a moose, that guy.
He is.
Watch him run around. The fridge. He is so big.
You'd have him for disruptive.
Oh, for sure.
Surely a club like GWS could have him for a year.
Yeah.
Who else is bad?
Wasn't he at GWS?
He was at GWS. Who else is bad at the moment? North Melbourne came good. Oh. Big props to North Melbourne too for the moves this week with their old.
Impressive.
Very impressive. I think that's the world we live in. I think gets it out of that salacious, yucky feeling that it was when he was in the media for something to do with the police.
Rip the off and talk about it.
Yeah.
And it is what it is. And good thing.
Good on him. I think
her.
So good. Such a progressive thing that
she was at Eagles too.
I think it's probably underdone almost that the AFL needs. You know how that talk for a lot of years, who's going to be the first gay AFL player?
Yeah.
Look, we've got so many gay AFLW players, but not one single gay AFL player. Now, whether there has been or there is, we're not going to get into that. But
the odds are.
Odds are, absolutely. Who's it going to be to come out? Well, Dean Laidley, well done. Well done to you, Danny. Yeah, well, sorry. Yeah, whatever the name is now. I don't know. I didn't read that. But maybe it takes us to the next level, if you know what I mean. Hope so.
We're on a small blue planet. We need to spin around together and to their own. Everyone's a personality. People are interesting. It'd be so boring if we're all the same.
You're very weird. I mean, I put up with you. It's
a
challenge. Very nerdy.
I wouldn't say nerdy. I guess I know technology. How many rear vision media experts will be jumping on these now? I can't believe. Remember, can I just say this? And I know this, Danny Laidley. Yeah, that's correct, Ruth. She played with the Eagles too, right? Junkyard Dog. He was
the Junkyard Dog. Yes.
Yeah, he was
shows your footy chops.
Yeah, I used to go all the time and watch.
I played on him.
Yeah, did you really?
Hard as nails. Yep, hard as nails. Didn't look like much, Probably just under 6 foot. Rangy. Just get in there.
Tough.
Thoughts on Bailey Fritsch signing for 5 years is a bigger thing than you think it would be, Demons FC, because what it shows is a club that's willing to commit, okay, and put commitment and show faith in their players. I remember when I was towards the end of my career, the club was flat out not doing three-year contracts. No. If you're over 27, no 3-year contracts, which I thought was just crap. Because that shows that we don't care about you. We don't care you as someone that's given to the club. You deserve it. No, they're like, well, we just want to keep protecting ourselves. So that 5-year thing, such a wonderful thing, because the player goes, I've got a club that loves me and I'm going to give them everything that I've got. Whereas I was left feeling, do they even care about me? What have I done? Is it not enough? Anyway. We're going
what
about
with was it like James McDonald? Was
same
thing.
I
used to go to games all the time as a member, and I was like, "What is going on here?"
Yeah, yes. Some people are still like a lot of the supporters are really dirty on the James McDonald thing because of the way it was handled. He was told he was, I think, captain, and then the next thing he's told that you're actually sorry you're out. Now, that's not exactly how it went down, and he would jump on and tell you a different story, but it was very emotional for him. So it's very emotional because everyone loved James McDonald. We all love James McDonald. Nick Wythe says, still pissing myself over the Dingo took the wrong Chamberlain call. Check out the Ray Chamberlain interview, please. It is one of the great interviews.
He's a pocket rocket, that guy, isn't he?
Yes, he is. Our local cafe that we both visit is just up the road here. And shout out to them. When are they going to give us something for the show? Like I want some watching? Vince Cavera. I want some food or something front and center from local Italian.
The irony of the fact that he's a Carlton supporter.
Yeah,
he's Italian.
Yeah,
and it's like, could you
be any more?
Move your cafe, Vince.
And he's got a cafe.
Yeah.
It's a wonder it's not in.
Bayside. Get it out of Sandringham. Move it to
Lygon Street.
Back to Carlton, buddy. On the wrong side of the track.
Off you go. Stop trying.
Tag them. We will tag him. Well, he's great, Vince, though. So, there's a few frequent this cafe. There's some sporting.
Get it. He's
Bluey McKenna.
Bluey's always there.
Captain of the
Do you know who's there a lot? Kathy Freeman, one of my idols.
The stairs on Royal Avenue is where apparently she trained. I did that once.
I saw Kathy Freeman at the local Italian one day, and I was all, oh my god, I was all like fanboy. Yeah. And it was funny because we used to call
I saw you first.
Yeah. Sure, mate. Aaron Davey. We used to call him Kathy Freeman because he looks exactly like her. He does. If you look like, I said to her, just want to say,
you look like Aaron Davey.
You look like Aaron Davey. No.
She goes,
you look like a bloke I know. That's not a nice start. No. I said to her as I walked past, just have to say, you're a superstar. You're awesome. You're one of Australia's.
That run where, the pressure.
Yeah.
The pressure to win that Olympics.
Yeah.
To win that gold medal.
Phenomenal.
That was unbelievable.
And she did it, and she becomes a superstar. And I told her, you gotta celebrate the good stuff in life, like whiskey.
You do. You've got to enjoy ourselves. We've got to and appreciate the fact we're back out again. We're on the streets.
Yes.
In Melbourne.
Oh my
God. Able to do this.
No masks.
No masks.
I don't want to hear any political crap about COVID, but no masks. It's fun.
Australia's back into lockdown.
It's going to happen. It's going to keep rolling around. We just got to stick together, do it together. We can do it. We can get through stuff. So, Felicity, Flick. Can I call you Flick, Felicity? I just feel like calling you Flick. Stainthorpe, is that right?
Well, she can only comment back.
Can I call you Flick, Felicity? I feel like I'm on first name basis with all of you, and I'm going to get nicknames for you all. Hughesy. Any news on the permanent training facility near the G? Yes. Gosh's is going to be extended, made bigger, a little bit more user-friendly for all our supporters, but I'm not 100% sure whether that's going to be turned into our training base. Not sure. Well, I mean, what's the point of putting a massive, big, stadium there right near Gosh's paddock when you've got something awesome in Amy? There is something going on. I'm not privy to that. Ask Brad Green. He's on the board. He might know a little bit more about it. Flick said I can.
Oh, you can call.
I can call a Flick. That's good. I feel great now.
Do you? Can we kick the pies out? Yeah, I was just thinking that. How did they get
Well, it was supposed to be ours. We got asked if we wanted it first.
Oh, really?
Some bright spark said no.
Oh,
I know. Put us back
what,
a few
instead
years.
of what? Yeah, nothing.
Junction Oval.
Oh, God. That's a decision that you regret.
Yep.
Oh.
A decision in a long line of bad decisions in that era.
No.
Anyway, I remember they said to us, hey, we've got this amazing new facility, Amy Park. It's going to be next year. This is middle of my career. Awesome. Get out of the Junction Oval. That's great. Next year. Sorry, it's going to be next year. Sorry, it's going to be next year. The next year. Sorry, it's going to be next year. Then I get the old, you're out. And then the very next year they moved in. Oh, Robbo.
Amy everywhere. Yeah. Isn't it Amy Park? I mean, forgive me. I'm not from Victoria. I live here though now. It's a square oval.
What is?
Well, it's not square. It's a square park.
Amy, yeah, out on that ground it is.
You don't get. They train on the back.
They train out the back of Gosh's Park. Melinda's name used to be Drummer Girl. Why? Why Drummer Girl? You play drums?
She should play in your band.
She should. Nikki Narduzzo. What do we call her? Double N's. N and N. Like Eminem. Like Eminem.
Like 8 Mile.
Yeah. Like.
You better lose yourself in the moment. You want it. She did lose herself in the moment. She got married on the show. Oh, married.
Can you? Every time I allude to Nikki Narduzzo now, can you?
8 Mile.
Load up a bit of Eminem.
Yeah.
Done.
Eminem. That is a song that would get you G'd up for a game.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Hell yeah.
I Alone by it.
Come on, I like live.
I Alone love you.
There's a bit.
You go out to play football to a love song, basically.
I'm a lover, not a fighter. There's a bit in the song where he goes, yeah. It pumps me right up. So, come on. Stephen Tingay said he was driving to a game once and they cranked up Pure Massacre by Silverchair.
Yeah.
And he said they never ever played it again because they got massacred in the game.
Was it on the way to Geelong?
I don't know. No, it was at the MCG and they got massacred. So, Nikki likes it. Should we go? I think it's time to go.
Really? I was having heaps of fun.
Me too.
What do you guys think? Yeah, we should go.
44 people still on there. They're just the rusted on Robbo show.
So good, these people. I really enjoy this. This is the best part of the week.
Hughesy, I think Cozzie's going to do something really special.
Mark of the year. He's going to beat Liam Ryan for Mark of the Year, though, because Liam Ryan...
He can take a mark. I think it's going to be a goal of the year, more so for Cozzy. He's going to do something where it's go this way, go that way, go there, and next thing you know...
How old is Cozzy? How many
he's
years
young.
now?
He's like 20.
Second or third year?
Second year.
Oh, he's going to be good.
Yep.
He's going to be very good.
Off, Jackie says.
Get off. I think... Oh, yeah, okay.
Of. Anthony wants us to stay on.
Stay on, Anthony. What's going on?
Yeah. Okay, Jackie Clark says Chris Heaney's version. I've never heard him do that one. I've played with Chris Heaney in bands before.
Always sad.
Yeah, that's nice.
Oh.
When the show finishes.
More whiskey. Yeah, we can do that.
Next, we should start collecting some whiskey. This is going to be like and have a. Well, we got, but you bought that, all right? I mean, free
you
stuff.
Bought anything. Let's be honest. Like you were supposed to today, right? He said today. He goes, "I'm going to get you a gin," and he turns up, and I go, "Hey," and he's like, "Hi," and I go, "So," and you go, "What?"
What?
And he goes, "Oh, I just went in there and I couldn't figure out what gin to get, so I didn't get anything."
I was confused.
Okay, just get one of the white ones.
I was rushing. They're all white.
No, just get any. You can turn up with anything. You could have just rocked up there and go, "There you go, thanks, mate. It's a great show. I really enjoy it." Like, you know.
Yep.
You turn up with nothing.
And then I said I'll go get something, and he wouldn't let me because we had to do the show.
Yeah, because I said you're too late. No, too late now. You can't have it.
Nikki says Nick Matt is our couple's nickname. And look, what we're going to do when they get married, we should film it because they got engaged on the show.
Are you doing their wedding?
Yeah.
Wow.
So can we film it and put it on the Robbo Live show the following week? It was a relationship, not born from our show.
So for anyone that doesn't know, Nikki, was it our first episode or second episode? Your first episode.
Yeah.
4 pillars. I agree, Nikki. Nikki, seriously, anything would have been good. It's called like you're just a polite. It's just polite, and anything. You could have turned up with Beefeater, and I would have gone, good on you, mate.
They've all been over here so
Anything
much in the
would have been
last
good.
year.
So anyway,
Even when I wasn't supposed to be here, I was
I don't know
here.
if you were here. Shush. Get us in trouble. Can you get retrospectively in trouble?
No, because I was building the place. I was allowed to. You know what I mean?
Second episode, she said. So, Nikki, so for anyone that didn't know, Nikki got engaged on one of the episodes, right? And I can't pull it up now. But, so she got engaged on the show. Nikki, tell us you didn't know what was going on. Was there
Did you know? Yeah, I want to know. Did you know that he was going to ask you to marry him at any?
I agree. Don't buy Gordon's gin, but I would still, Nikki, even if he bought Gordon's gin, I would still go. Oh, he's nice.
Well, he's so lovely.
Cares just a little bit, just a little bit. Not this much, just this much. He cares just that much.
Gina's having a G&T right now.
Oh, good. What sort of G&T are you having? A friend of mine's making G&T. Very intimate. Yes. Come on, I want to know.
0.8 Gary here. It's a Sunday.
So everyone's having a couple of drinks. Is this a dating site on the off season?
It could be.
It's been up into anything.
Doesn't it? Yeah. Dating horror stories. That's what I love hearing. We've got some friends at the moment are going through that. Dating horror stories. It's fun.
Probably best not to name them.
No. Oh. Replying to Anthony Smatty, I knew he would propose, but didn't know it would happen the night of the prelim. So that's good. That was a lovely surprise. All right, you replied to
dating site, Barry. Absolutely.
Gordon's.
Do
you like Gordon's?
No.
Don't like Gordon's.
Mate, anything that sort of sounds fancy, like Four Pillars, just sounds weird. You could go like anything.
Yeah. All right. Okay.
I
get the
there's
point.
Even things called Melbourne gin. It's not hard to like. Oh, that's pretty good. You can also, the other thing when you buy alcohol, sometimes you just go on price point. Sometimes you just look in and you go, which one's the cheapest? Then you go, okay, don't get that. Did that not go through your head? Did you not go like, I'll go somewhere in the middle, or
I thought
an expensive one? Did you think of anything?
What I did
run in and you didn't even. I don't even reckon you went to the bottle shop.
What I did think was
someone saw you and you ran out.
Davo's got a lot of gin at his house already. He's kind of an alcoholic, so that you would have some anyway, and I'll get it later. Daniel Motlop. Do you remember?
So you don't bring gin and then you offend me. Is that how this show goes?
I call you an alcoholic. No, I'm actually helping you by not buying gin.
Oh my god,
it gets worse. I will buy you some gin.
Yeah, how was that? Oh, you know what? I saw a photo of my friend in the UK, right? I should try and show it. And they're reading the newspaper. On the back page of the newspaper in England, it says sexting scandal in Australia. So it's probably not even... Is it making our headline news? Because it's making UK news.
Oh, but they love that stuff, especially when it comes to Australian cricketers.
I know, because
anything bad. Right. Now, did he send pictures or was it just words back and forth? Because I thought it was pretty... From what I saw, it was pretty, they both were happy.
It was a storm in a teacup.
Yeah, I'm making a big thing of this. Young people.
I love gin.
I know that there's married and kids involved. I actually don't know if he's married and he's got kids.
He does.
Well.
Did you watch the documentary?
That's great.
The test. The test. It's a really good documentary.
D-pic, Gary says. Yes, that was.
Is that what he sent?
He sent a nude. Okay.
Why would you do that?
Look, I've got 3 boys, and
why would you do that?
I've got a 12-year-old.
You're not going to tell me one of the boys is that?
No, and I've already started to tell them, please,
don't do anything stupid.
Do not send a photo of yourself. No girl wants to see that anyway.
There it is. Aussie captains sex tests shame. Can you see the newspaper?
Yeah, I can see it.
Look at that lounge sheet. Look at the lounge sheet. Can you see it?
Oh my god, it's an interesting setup. Yeah, look. Anyway, that's been awesome. We're going to set up a bit of a whiskey gin thing here. No, but I'm all about. Have you not noticed? I'm all about freebies.
I've noticed.
See how
I noticed you're not very good at giving things.
If there's a dick pic or a nude, then where's the photo? Sean Dux wants to know. He was drinking gin.
He was probably.
Have to get your best angle right? ? Jackie Clark wants to know. Can we ask the fellas out there that have done this? How do you do it? What's the best way? No, let's just stop
weird.
this. Stop
it's
this now.
Weird,
Enough. Yeah. It's not what this show's
He's
about.
Tasmanian.
I know. I'm disappointed. It's it happens all the time, I'm sure.
From Tasmania.
Yes. Tasmanian sports people.
I would say West Australians are bad, but who cares?
No one cares about them. Only Western Australians care about Western Australians. They're over there stuck in their little... That's what you wanted, right? You wanted to have your own country. You wanted the rest of Australia to bugger off, so we did.
I don't live there.
But you know them. Your dad's there.
Yeah, I know.
He said... Has he said anything about it?
Yeah, he plays at a golf club. And he got really angry at someone at the golf club because he said, I'm not getting vaccinated. I can't be bothered. And he's like, I really would like to go see my son in Melbourne.
Yeah.
I'd really like to leave this state. Yeah. Can you play your part? It's like a really bad university assignment.
Yeah, it's
Group assignment. You're stuck with the guy that doesn't turn up and bring the gin.
Yeah.
You're stuck with that guy. And you're like, yeah, and no more grand finals in WA. Like, I'm big. Like, I feel really bad for you guys. Like, I thought it was a joke at the first.
Some great comments.
There are good.
Like, you're taking your dick pic with a tool belt on.
It just can't. Why would you do
that? A comedian said if he ever went to a nudist colony, he would have a belt with pockets because you need pockets. That's a great bit. Like, at least you've got just the belt with the pockets. You get your phone and stuff. But the rest is out.
Where else are you going to put it?
Exactly. I think it's so good.
No WA, I agree, Gary.
We've gone down.
Let's get back to the MCG.
Yes, 100%. Next year, our home ground.
How's everyone feeling about next year? Are you confident for another big year?
Well, we'd get to see a new player as well. Luke Dunstan comes into our club, who's another in and under type player, but he's also got a little bit of skill. Good runner. It helps us with a rest period for our great players, Viney. Obviously, Oliver and Petrarca are running through there, but there's other names that are going to build their profile in the middle of the ground. Dunstan's going to be one of those guys. So injuries happen, you know. Max is not going to play all the time. We need to rest him. So we know that Jackson can do the job now. So we need guys that come in and fill. Western Australian. I love Jackson. He's my favourite player on the team.
Is he?
Jackson, yeah.
Because he's basketball background.
But no, just the way he goes at it. Like, because you don't necessarily
I hear a rumour you were to talk to Andrew Gaze.
Yes, I am so excited. Andrew Gaze is coming on the show. And you might think, you know, that's not Melbourne Football Club, but we're doing something different. It'll be a different show.
Following the football?
I actually don't know. But he loves football. And he's on all those footy shows for Fox. Yeah, pretty much. We're going to get him on the show and we're going to talk about all the great days, the glory days of NBL basketball.
Oh, my God. How good was that?
So good. Like the 80s.
Were amazing.
The Giants.
Copeland, Andrew Gaze.
Ricky Grace, WA.
The Alabama Slammer, James Crawford.
Ray Borner.
Leroy Loggins.
Yep.
Up in Brisbane.
Yep. Leroy
Shane
Loggins.
Hill.
Shane the Hammer Hill.
Smythe, Adelaide 36ers.
Smythe, yeah.
Jeez, we're bringing back the memories.
Luke Longley. he didn't play NBL, no.
Does Majak get a run next year?
I think, like, if injuries happen, they'll get a run, and if they've just got to grab it. You know, there's some players in our team at the moment on our list that can play AFL football. They just need their opportunity. It happened for me when I first came into the club. You know, it could have gone either way. Gary went down with a back. You know, Nita Schwarter went down with his knee and he was coming back. So I got my run. Sean Smith came to the end of his career. So I got a run. And it was a stacked forward line. You had Jeff Farmer in there as well. Sean Smith. Right. And it worked out in the end. So you need your opportunity. So Majak gets his opportunity maybe in the ruck when Max is missing and Jackson needs a backup. We've got some backup plans, which I really love about our club at the moment.
Hey, do you think managing injuries, you think about basketball and more rotations, do you reckon the team should think more about resting players?
Yes, it's rotational sort of thing. It happened for Richmond. And I know what they do with their pre-seasons as well, is they give them a little bit longer off. What I love seeing Petrarca back at training. It's great and everything, but you can't flog a dead horse. You've got to really manage that stuff. And I think they're really good at managing.
Do a live show
Book a venue to a live show. Rose comes from nowhere and goes bang.
Oh.
That's a good call. We're going
Would
to
you
do.
sing on it though? If you did a live show, like, because these people turn up every week hoping that you'll play.
Well, let's do a live show, musical element. There's a place that I know around here that we could do it. Mate of mine's bar. Let's hire it.
Oh, you know what my idea was last week? Can we all get on the train and all catch a train to the game in Perth?
Yes, that's what.
And we'll all go to an Eagles game on the train, and we'll like sit around and we'll do podcasts and we'll talk about. We'll get past players, and how much fun would that be?
Or the GAN.
Yes.
The GAN to Darwin.
To Darwin, yeah. Do that.
If we play in Darwin or Alice, I think they're playing Alice now, not Darwin.
Yeah.
If we play in Darwin, let's go to Darwin on the GAN together.
Oh, on the train.
Let's get a sponsorship. Let's get a whiskey sponsorship for the GAN. Not a GAN sponsorship.
Make it happen.
It's been a fun show.
A Rolls Royce, that's for sure.
He's a superstar and deserves every dollar that he gets. But you know what's going to be the true telling of this club, the true showing of where this club is at, is when it comes to contract time, and the great clubs that have had eras of success do this and do this well. They're good, strong players take pay cuts. So Max is going to have to take a pay cut. Track's going to have to take a little less money that you could command at another club that's got plenty of salary cap room when they become free agents. You know, it's an important part of it, and management it's huge. Finding the talent's great, and they've done an amazing job of doing that down at the club over the last 5 years. They're signing them up slowly. I'm not sure. We should find that out. I'm not really one that gets into all of that. I just love talking about footy.
You sort of should if you've got a show on it.
I shoot from the hip when I do this. From the hip.
That is true.
Dan Marley style, Phoenix Suns, from the hip.
Dan Marley. He did shoot from the hip. He used to shoot from like half court.
If you know me, you know I love my basketball. I love my 80s and 90s basketball, NBA. I've got cards. I've got Michael Jordan cards.
I do too. Scottie Pippen rookie, mint condition.
Have you?
I don't know where they are now.
You've got a Scottie Pippen rookie.
Card, mint condition. I used to
Find it.
Mum used to have there was an American candy store around the corner, and Mum used to bring me basketball cards home every Friday. And you know what I used to do? Put them on a pin-up board.
You idiot.
Oh, yeah. Proper idiot. I grew up in Perth, remember?
Your mum did one good thing, and you ruined it.
They're just cards. But I found out one was worth, like, you know, eventually someone had a basketball card store in Perth. And I'd take them in, and they had pinholes in them, and they were worth, like, thousands.
Well, that would be. And I've got some Jordan ones. Let's get them valued next show. Track signed a while ago for 7 years. Demon for life.
7 years?
I think I knew that.
Wow.
Newey? Dick? No, Dickie. Dickie Newman.
Yeah.
That'll do. That's the show.
You're doing nicknames for everyone now.
Let's go because I'm hungry. It's dinner time and I'm also thirsty.
Are you feeding us all tonight, or are you going to do the same thing
I think
with your gin? Just like ask and then go, I was going to, but I'm not going to.
Priscilla of Priscilla's Hair Studio Black Rock fame.
Oh, you need to plug your other sponsor too, by the way.
Active Business Advisory.
Here we go.
Cheers to you. The greatest accountants in the history of accountants. Brent Kirchner and Libby down there. If you need a great accountant, please look up Active Business Advisory. We should have their logo up, but we'll do that next week. You can flick that up while we're doing it. We're going to throw it up right now. They sponsored, there it is. They sponsored the show from the start. We have whiskey sponsorships coming. Not sponsorships, but just sponsorship for product. It's coming.
It doesn't get you gin, Gary. I know that much. The dollars don't pay off in gin. It's just love. I do this for love.
We love talking footy, though, don't we?
I do love it. Yeah, any chance I get. I'm not even an authority. I don't even play.
Dave and I love music too, so we're going to add the music element to this show. I think that's the next step. But also, but we are doing next show. I think it's going to be someone like a Trengove. I don't know, not sure. We'll promote it, but Gazy's coming down and he's going to join us on the round table. It's going to be awesome.
Happy birthday.
Wednesday, 43, I think.
You told us last year. So, okay, I'll just finish the story that we can go. But you got your birth date wrong. And you told us that you were turning 44, yeah, maybe. And so you accelerated all of
43, I told you.
Yeah, we all went, oh my God, I'm what? I'm going to be 42.
Because I was born in
freaked out
I was born in
from,
78, so I'm turning 43.
Wacko Jacko, yeah. That would be awesome.
I know where he is.
Do ya?
Yeah. A mate of mine sees him all the time, so I'll get him.
Oh, that'd be good.
I mean, I don't know if I'll get him, but
You'll end up with immediately I just started thinking about Street Talk. Remember the footy show? And they just go down the street when it was really good, like not when it got really
stupid in the end.
Yeah.
Wacko Jacko.
We're all becoming old. So true, Melinda.
I pumped him up, Wacko Jacko, on the show a few weeks back, so I think that's got us enough credits to get him. Not that he would give a crap.
Energizer. No one says no to me.
Oi!
Look at that. Headstands. Yeah, he was
Mental.
He was passionate.
He was an individual.
Passionate.
See what I did there?
Yeah. Politically correct for once.
After 40, it's easy to forget how old you are.
Well, Todd said that tonight, right? Where he was like, I can't believe it. Like, Jack's now 9 years into playing.
Wow. That does not feel right. He looks like a pup still.
Yeah.
And it feels like he's just been there for a second. So, I mean, on average, you're only going to get 3 or 4 more years at best. He'll go because he's a really good player. He'll go longer.
What's the average number? Isn't it the statistic on the average number of players, like how many games you actually?
4 years, I think.
4 years.
I think it's 4 years. I think it's,
like
and whatever games will get you in that, yeah. So, it's tough. It's tough. I'm in my 44th year, Gary. Thank you.
What should we get him for his birthday? Do you guys have any ideas?
Whiskey. They're going to say whiskey.
Don't
I
say
know that.
something else.
But there's other things. You know what I love.
Bad jackets. We can get you like a Rebel Sport voucher.
Yeah, but to get a decent jacket.
A decent one. Gin. Yeah, then, yes, exactly. We could get him the gin so he can give me the gin.
You can drink it.
Yeah.
Because I don't drink gin.
Yeah, thank you, Gary.
Ruth says better jacket. Everyone's into me. I'm going.
I'm the voice of the people.
You can
I channel what I feel their
needs and wants and...
and it'd be nice to me because I have to put up with you every week in the background.
To all of you, a happy
Legends.
Sunday evening.
Thank you, everyone, for listening. Guitars is a good idea.
Until next week, it's goodbye.
Do you know who you've got on next week? We should tell them now.
I roll, like I said, Dan Marley style.
Because you have no idea.
From the hip. I think Trainers is going to be in the end of November, so that gives us to the 28th from here. So maybe Jack Trango, but I've got a couple others in the pipeworks. So I don't really in the pipeline. Pipeworks is down there. What about Geordie McKenzie? Geordie McKenzie. Do you remember Geordie? Old veg. He was an era not of mine. He was after me. So he's one of the great fellas. I'd love to get Geordie. We could actually get him on the show because he lives local. Or Ricky Petard or someone like that. Yeah, some different cats, you know. That'd be good. But I know everybody will have their suggestions and we'll read those. I'll really love to get Swooper, so I'm going to give him a call. Let's do that.
That'd be good. Good stuff, guys. Thanks for being on. And
how good was Todd Viney?
Yeah.
It was amazing. Love Todd. Check out the interview.
It's like different lives. I was looking at the photos while you guys were talking.
Yeah.
Like his old.
Well, he's got some great stories about Mark Philippoussis and his old man.
Yeah, I saw photos of that. I was going to put them up.
Oh God, he's not a fan anymore because he was coaching him. It ended poorly.
I don't think the dad's got much support from.
No, he doesn't pull any punches too when he tells the story. He's very politically and socially correct.
Good. He coached.
Yeah,
Philippoussis.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, went on the tour. That's why he quit Melbourne to become the coach of Mark Philippoussis. But then on the road, just went
bang his head.
Yeah, just bang, and it didn't work. He didn't like it. So Todd's like, I'm out of here.
Yeah,
you don't like that. Worked for my son.
Yeah,
I swear.
He's a gun. You not so well. He was a gun.
I swear he belted Jack Viney's head on the table. Lightly.
His dad was questionable. Yeah, he was a good tennis player though. Like we got to be careful of you can't cut everyone down. I mean, you can some. One
of the funniest things, I was driving my car and I'm listening to Triple M, and then the old DGen guys, when they were on the show, they did an ad for, and they were talking, because Scud was right in his prime.
Yeah.
And they said, what if Mark Philippus has had his own. Everyone's doing their own, scent now.
Yeah.
And the ad went on for a bit, and at the end, Mark Filler, Poosus. So terrible, but I thought it was so funny. Adam Uze tells a great story about something that happened on Triple M, and this is a true story, and I'm going to leave you with this. This is it. We're getting off now. It's so funny, okay? It happened. This actually happened. Adam Uze is driving to the Junction Oval for training, early morning, feeling like crap. It's going to be a hard session, pre-season. He's on the West Gate with a million other people not moving, listening to Triple M or one of those talkback shows. And on the show, they had this thing where a husband and a wife would be in talking about each other. Had to guess the 5 questions that they would ask one, then they get the other one on to see if they can answer correctly. So this time it was the man who got to tell all the 5 things. And it was, what's her favorite, what's your favorite, aftershave? What's your favorite color? Where's your favorite holiday spot? 4 really benign questions. And the last question was, where's the last place you two had sex?
Oh.
And then she gets on. Now, you didn't hear anything there, did you, love?
Oh, no.
You know this story.
No, but I get where
Get
this
it?
is going.
She goes, Barley, his favourite colour's blue. He's doing well. Gets the last question. Where's the last place you guys had sex? And she gets all coy. No, I can't say. I'm not saying. Don't say it. I'm not saying it. And then the husband pipes up in the background. It's okay. I told them you can say. And she goes, okay, in the bum. Bang. And everyone on the radio goes, oh my God, no. And the husband's in the background going, the kitchen. The kitchen. We have gone places on the show today that we shouldn't have gone. So Adam Uze reckons he's sitting in his car going, looking around at other cars to see if there was anybody else listening to that. The kitchen. Oh, got to share that stuff. It's good stuff.
God.
We all do it. Not that, but we all. On that note, click us off, would you? It's been 2 hours. It's been brilliant. Thank you for sticking on. Flick, Gary, Rick, Dickie Newman, Ant, Duxie. I remember the day the call was so funny. Good on you, Duxie. I'm going to go. You're going to go. I'm going to buy you dinner.
Thanks for having us, everyone.
Have a great week. Robbo and Davo out.